Welcome back, Nerd Herders. We're back with another episode of Making a Mod Pack, and today we're going to do something a little different. Some people, well, probably a lot of people know how to do this, but I thought I'd go through how to configure stuff in the actual configs of the mods. So that is what we're going to be doing. Let me get transitioned over here and let's get started. So what I'm using is I'm using a program called Sublime Text. It's my preferred. Now you can use, and it is, there is a free version, I believe, of Sublime Text. Now the one I have is I've purchased a, what is it? Lifetime. Let me look up here while I'm talking. But there is a lifetime membership that you can buy, and it is $80, and it's just a one-time fee. So that is the one I am currently using. It is Sublime Text, and I think it's 2 or 3. I don't know. Anyway, so I've got that, but you can also use Notepad++, which is free. And it is also a good program. I found Sublime through another Modpack maker, and I don't remember their name at the moment. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dark Osto used to use this as well, which I think I saw one time on his one of his streams or whatever when he was making a mod pack. But don't quote me on that because I don't remember. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we are going to go through the config folder. That's what's up here. I have the whole folder open over here of the config folder to the pack we're working on. Now, I have done a few changes. Let me actually pull up my changes so far. I removed Tough as Nails because one of you made a good point in the comments, and I apologize for not remembering your name. And it's not because I have too many people commenting, it's because I have a bad memory. So, that, you know, you enjoy playing Minecraft to kind of relax and just chill. And that's what I want this pack to be. You know, I told you in the beginning, if I can get a way for you guys to be able to fly at least around your base, maybe not far, but at least around your base, you know, a couple of chunks or whatever, then I'm going to enable that somehow. And then if you go too far, you'll end up just dropping out of the sky. But with Forgiving Void, you won't ever die. You'll just have to get back into the part where you can fly again, and then you can fly back to your base, so to speak. So I did remove Tough as Nails because I think, in my opinion, it was just too much. In both of the packs I was playing, Isola and well, actually, I think it's in the new one I'm playing too, the what is it called? Monumental Experience. I believe that's in that one too, where you have to drink constantly, and that's great and everything like that. It's good for, you know, playing through when you want a harder pack, but I want this one to kind of be a little bit easier pack. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to remove it. So what we're going to do today is go through some of these. Like here's the folder, and this is basically what you'll see when you go into the as you can see, this is in instances. This is the instance name, which is Isola Dream in the Clouds, because that's what it started as. I'm not sure that it'll stay that way as far as a name, but that is what it is currently before I put it out on Curse. It's not on Curse obviously yet because I'm working on it. Then you go to Minecraft and config, and this is the whole folder right here. Like you can see, some of the mods actually have folders of their configs, others of them just have a config page. And so we're going to go through this for this episode and the next. So if you're not into that and you don't want to watch that, I understand totally. But you might also be able to help me out with configs because I'm not a professional at this. I have other packs that have been under development for a long time, including a 1.7.10 pack that I still don't have up and running because I get lost in doing things. Okay. There are some things that I want to do and I don't know how to because it requires coding or something like that. Like using JSON files. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So until I figure it out, or if I can put together a mod pack team, and don't get me wrong, I don't want credit or anything like that. It's more of, I just want help. And so what I'm probably going to do is find somebody who's able to upload this stuff to Curse for me and like, I'm going to be the so-called founder of the pack, and they're going to be the mod pack maker, if that makes sense. Because they're going to do a lot of the hard work. I'm just going to do the configs and the tell them what mods I want put in, and the configs and the and the quests. And I'll have other people help me with quests as well if I can find somebody. But anyway, so let's go into this. This is advanced generators mod. So it'll tell you in here what units to use when displaying power. You can use MJ, EU, RF, or T. So it has set up, or the person, you know, who did Isola put it in RF. I'm going to go ahead and leave that. But you can change that. Like, for example, There's, what is it? GregTech, and I think GregTech uses EU, if I'm not mistaken. So, then there's just the README text. And so we're going to briefly go through each of these and try to make a few changes. So we may not stick with them very long. I may have to come back and do some more advanced stuff later, but this way we can find out, you know, what we want to do. But if you're new to mod pack making, this is how you go. This is how you make the pack yours. You go into the config options and you change the things you want to change so that it plays the way you want to. So there's like mods where you can, like say for thermal expansion, and I don't know if this works on thermal expansion, but I know there's one of the power mods out there. You can make it use more power, the machines, or you can make them use less power. You can make them where they take longer to work, so it actually takes time, and you can also make them speed up in the configurations. So when you're working on a mod pack, this information is very vital, and it should take you time to go through these. Now, some of these I've already kind of been through. I've already kind of, before this recording, I kind of went through and made some changes, and we'll get to some of those in a little bit here. So multiplier changes how long a mining mission takes. So this is for advanced rocketry on an asteroid. So you can put the time, you can take it up to 2.0, you can take it down to 0.5, or well, 0.5. If it has numbers like this laid out, I don't know if it's required or not, but I always make sure the numbers are laid out like that. So if I want to do 0.5, I'll usually do 0.5 just to make sure that it takes, you know, the config actually takes. List of ore dictionary names, ores allowed to spawn in asteroids. So here, there's iron, gold, copper, tin, and redstone. You could actually add other ores if you wanted to, like from the mods. So like if you wanted copper and whatever, you could add those here. So, well, I guess it says standard. There might be another place here that says for additional ores. Allowed by mine laser drill. That's the laser drill. Objects from enriched lava. No. Ore generation. These are other ores that the mod already does. These are geode ores. Let's see here. You'll have to excuse her. She's wanting to talk back today. So you're going to want to go through this and make sure that you have all the different items that you want in here. So here, the black hole generator. List of blocks and the amount of ticks they can power the black hole generator format. So mod name, block, metadata, and number of ticks. So here we have Minecraft, which is just the regular Minecraft, stone, and 1 tick. So this comes from, so like you could put ender.io, well, whatever ender.io's actual code is. If it's ender.io : let's say, what's one of the ender.io ones? Pulsating iron. So you'd have to find out what pulsating iron, the actual name ID is. Sometimes it's like ore pulsating iron, or not ore, but you know, ingot pulsating iron or pulsating iron, whatever. You have to find out what that is and put that here, and then the number of ticks. So list of blocks and the amount of ticks that they can power in the black hole generator. Again, some of these I'm gonna have to come back and, because I might add some more stuff to this ores of the asteroids. I think it'd be kind of cool to get some of the stuff like you get. I'm trying to think what else you can get off of here. I mean, we can make it. You can technically make it where you can get anything, because that's what it says, standard ores. So you can just make them whatever ore you want. There's also no diamonds. There's no emerald. You can add those if you wanted to as well. And you have to make sure, I don't know if you know this or not, but if you don't, most of the time when they're like this, how it says ore and then it says iron with a capital I, most of the time that's required. If that's the way they actually read in the mod or in the version of Minecraft you're using. So you got to make sure that you have your actual capitals in there too. All right, if true, AR will use a custom skybox on space stations. So it's set to true, and that's fine. The rest of this stuff is, pardon me, just other information about the sky stations. So you can do that however you want to do. If UI is not locked, the middle mouse can be used to drag certain AR UIs around the screen. Positions are saved on hitting quit in the menu. So lock UI true. So again, some of this stuff doesn't matter right now. I'm not worried about this till we get to it. Once we get to some of these mods, we'll go ahead and change the configs around a little bit more, because if we find out they're not working properly, just like the other day, we found out that the overloaded mod was blocking you from being able to block or to break cobblestone, which call it cobblestone, and to be able to make the cobblestone. So we had to change the recipes. Well, I actually took overload mod out. So that's another one I think I removed, is overload. Or no, I think I went in the configs. I'm sorry, I went in the configs and disabled those. I disabled the compressed cobble, compressed obsidian, compressed gravel, compressed sand, and compressed something else. Endstone, I think it was, or netherrack. I think it was netherrack. I disabled those because it said, do you want these enabled? And I said no, because we have them through someone else. So, okay, if true, allow players to be hurt due to lack of oxygen and allow effects from non-standard atmosphere types. Well, obviously we want that true. We want this to be, believable when we play with this mod. If true, allow players to experience nausea. Yep. Enables laser drill machine. Yes. See, and you can disable certain things too. So if you don't want people to be able to use the laser drill on this mod, you can actually disable it here without actually disabling recipes or anything else. So there's some, you want to look through the configs before you start changing recipes as well, because like I didn't do that with overload. And instead of going through the process of changing all those recipes for the compressed cobble and all that stuff to make sure we got the right ones we wanted, I could have actually disabled it in the config and I didn't even know it. So power multiplier for the laser drill. So see here, if I wanted people to be frugal, or to not use the laser power drill as much, I could put the power multiplier on 4.0 and it's going to make it use 4 times the amount of power. Okay. And that's the way I at least read it. Power multiplier for the laser drill machine. In other words, it's saying how much power do you want to use? Right now, the standard is 1.0. That's the way, I'm sure that's the way the config actually came, is 1.0. So we want to make sure that's high priority when we do that it's set to whatever we want it to be. So if we want 4.0, 10.0, whatever, it uses that much power. It's just going to make it that much harder to use, which if you're making, let's say you're making an extreme hard pack, like a hardcore pack, you'll probably change that to 3.0 to make it so that people have to produce more power, and that's okay. Enables terraforming items and blocks. Microwave, orbit height, none of that. We don't care about that. Space station radius. The largest size space station can be should also be a power of 2. So in other words, changing this option will damage existing stations. Well, we don't have these yet, so I'm going to make the space stations bigger, just because I can. And that's a change that I want to happen. I want them to be bigger. So I just use this number right here, even though I could have gone higher or whatever. I felt that's a pretty good number. And I'll generally, if they give options, I'll use the options they give because they've tested it with those options, even if it says it could go up to this. Now, there are some things that we'll find out later on when it'll say it could go from 0.1 or 0.0 all the way up to 10,995,000, and so on and so on. I won't do the obviously top ones, but you get the point. How many millibuckets are required to keep the terraformer running? And see here, you could say the consumption rate is 40 millibuckets per tick. Okay. And then this says terraformer requires fluids. Well, that's set to true. So if we turn this to false, this other button wouldn't matter. It would keep running. If true, players will respawn near beds on planets if spawn location is in a breathable atmosphere. So allow planet respawn. I want to put that to true, because if you have a bed and you're on a planet and you want to stay on that planet, I think that should be a thing. You should be allowed to stay on that planet. So if set to true, allows construction and usage of the terraformer. This is known to cause strange world generation after successful terraform. So we're going to leave that to false because it says it's experimental. There are very few things that I will put true on experimental stuff. So, and my recommendation, again, I'm not a professional, but my recommendation is you do the same thing. You don't want to put, if this is, if it's experimental, you don't want to put it as true, because chances are it can mess up the worlds. And if more people get upset because you're messing up the world, then, all right. So we've kind of gone over this one. We haven't gone, again, I told you I'm going to come back to some of these, but I want to show you the different ones that are allowed here. And here's the asteroid. So a small asteroid has a distance of 10, mass of 100, this shows you what items you can get from this small asteroid. Here's an iridium enriched asteroid. This one has iron and whatever ore this is. See, I can't even tell what ore that is because I don't know what the ID stands for. Ore 0 space 10. That's an ore ID, and it's from a library mod, Volpe's lib, sorry. And there's a chance of 5. So this one has a 25% chance. This has a 5%. I'm guessing that's what it means. It means what the percentage is. So this is probably, I don't know if this comes standard or if this is an addition that Isola did. Same thing here with the chemical reactor. Sometimes it'll give you instructions here, and they'll just be out, so that way you read them and you can understand how to program them yourself. Even with some of this stuff, I don't understand all these instructions all the time. Here's the crystallizer, and so on. So again, we can go to, I think this is just, this is nothing. Here's the agricraft one. Configs. So disable particles. I always put this to true just because I don't, some computers can't handle the particles. And so it's better if you just set it to disable them. My opinion, and that's from the sprinklers for agricraft. So the sprinklers, I know they tend to lag a little bit when you have a bunch of them and you're using particles. So my opinion is that I will disable those. Again, you can come back in the pack if you want and re-enable them if you'd like to. If for some reason you don't think they're working or whatever, and you want to make sure that they're actually on and whatever, then you can come back and re-enable them, and then you can see for yourself. Obviously, you have to reload the pack for that. The maximum attainable value of status of crops, 1 to 10. So default's 10. So if you want, only 1, then you can put 1 here. The number of crops you get after crafting operation. So 1 to 4, set at 4. Enabled JSON write back, true. And that's probably what this is in here. So we have all the actually additions, agricultural expansion, Ars Magica 2, and so on and so on. And I don't think Ars Magica is in here, is it? I don't remember now. I went through the mods the other day, but I still don't remember. Set to true to add NBT info to item stack tooltips. I don't know why we'd need that. Same with the ORDICT and registry. Set to true to enable the agricraft bauble. I think we want that. If it's what I'm thinking it is, and I don't know for sure. And again, some of these we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to test out when we actually start playing through it. So we don't need a debug. So the radius of grass breaking tool, 10. Yeah, that's fine. Set to false to disable the decorative custom wood grates. No, we want to keep those. Farming, allow other mods to apply bone meal. True. Yeah. See, if you want to lock it to where only agricraft can do the bone meal, then you can actually turn this to false. And then this, when you're using agricraft, it won't use the agricraft crops will not use other bone meal. So if you didn't want to use different bone meal, this is the way you'd stop people from using it. Divisor, again, I'm going to come back through some of this, but I wanted you guys to get the gist of how you can do this on your own. I mean, it's not, to me, most of this stuff is pretty easy going through the configs, but to somebody who's never seen these before, may not understand, even though they put good instructions. Most mod makers will put really good instructions. There's only a couple mods I've seen where they're not the greatest instructions on what they mean. Set to false if you wish to disable using fertilizers on crops, on cross crops to force mutation. Set to false if you wish to disable using fertilizers. No, I want to be able to use them. Fertilizer mutations. I want to be able to use them on cross crop. Because if I have forestry appetite and I turn that in fertilizer, I want to be able to use that. And the way I read it is if you don't want to do that, then you set it to false. Set to true to disable vanilla farming, meaning you can only grow. We want that. We want to disable it because if I force you into using agricraft, then you can level up your crops and you'll actually learn more. So I'll put that in the quest line. I'll be like, don't forget to use your sticks because you won't be able to plant anything without them. And it's easy to get sticks in the pack. So you put 2 logs, one on top of the other in your crafting bench, you get 16 sticks. So it's not like it's going to be hard. And then you take the sticks and you put 2 by 2, and that's how you get the crop sticks. So Growth rate multiplier. We're going to turn this up because, again, I don't want this to be a, is it the opposite way? Growth rate? No, that should be the right, because it's a multiplier. So it should be times 2. Okay. We want it to grow faster, in other words. Set to true to enable hardcore mode for stat increasing. One parent. Okay, so we're not going to do this because what's going to happen is it's going to make it a lot harder to level up. So in other words, if you have 2 parents, it's going to take, let's say, just to generalize it, it's going to take 4 times the amount of time as if you have 3 or 4. Okay, if you have all 4 parents, then it's going to take you half the amount of time, let's say, because you have 4 parents that are their same number. If I'm reading it correctly, that's what I think it means. And if this is the same as what it was on, what was it, Project Ozone 3, I think it was, that I played this on, and I was playing around with the configs for AgriCraft. I think that's what it means, is that it's going to make it harder and harder to level up, and it's going to take longer too. You're also going to have where, if you put it in hardcore stats, you're going to have where, let's say it goes up from, the stat goes up from 111 to 333, whereas if you do hardcore, it may go 111 to 121, let's say. I'm, again, just throwing out things, but that's what it generally means, if I'm reading it right. Define mutation chance. 0.0 means no mutations, only spreading. 1.1 means only mutations, no spreading. So defaults, I'm going to change it to 5. So by doing this, I'm guessing that means it's going to be a 50% chance to mutate. And I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But true means any crop that is considered a valid parent will affect the stat gain negatively. Set this to true to make only mature crops drop seeds. So I don't want you dropping the crops before they're done. I don't want you cutting them down before they're done. So I'm going to put this to true, which means that if you take, yes, I'm making this a little bit harder, but remember, I'm also making it easier to grow. They're going to grow faster. So if you wait for them to mature, you'll actually get seeds back. It also says, encourages you to use a trowel. So if you use a trowel, you can break them because it's actually using a tool. And I'll put that in the quest line. I'll be like, okay, don't forget to use your trowel if you're going to break a crop before it gets mature. Okay. Raking weeds drops item. True. Raking weeds drops seeds. Sure. Show disabled vanilla farm warning. True. Yes, we want to show that. Single spread stat increase. Okay, so set to true to allow crops to spread from one single crop to increase stats. No, we want that false. We want at least 2 parents. Yes, 2 valid parents. Mutation parents and identical crops. Yes. Or only identical. Okay. So here it says, what are considered valid parents for stat increasing? Number 1 is any. So any crops. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter stats, whatever. 2 is mutation parents and identical crops. So in other words, they have to be any mutated variety, and it has to be the same crop. So in other words, it could be 2 wheat, but it could be 2 different levels of wheat, if I'm reading it correct. And then 3 is only identical. So in other words, it has to be wheat seeds 444 or wheat seed, whatever. You get my point. The average growth, the average number of growth ticks for a weed to grow. Let's turn this down a little bit. Default's 50. We're going to make it a little bit harder. Weeds destroy crop sticks. False. We don't want them to destroy crop. I mean, you kind of do get sticks anyway, quite a bit. So determines if AgriCraft should completely override grass drops with the confirmed. No, I don't care about that. The amount of water in millibuckets an irrigation channel can hold. Let's turn this up to 1,000. Yeah, I want it to hold a lot. Enable irrigation, yes. Fill tank with flowing water. Okay, set to true to let tanks fill up when the water flows above them. Set tanks to true to fill up when the water flows above them. No. Set to true to let tanks fill up with water falls from the sky. True. Yes, we want it to be able to, when it rains. In other words, if you have this out and you don't have a roof on it, then if your irrigation channels will actually fill up, your tanks will fill up because it's raining. That's actually a really good thing to do. So every loop, each unsecure plant in the sprinkler range has a chance to get growth from the sprinkler. Yes. Sprinkler growth chance. We're going to turn this up to 50. Minimum number of ticks between successive starts of irrigation. No effect if it's less than the number required to actually finish. So this is only defaults at 100. Let's make it 450. We're going to turn it up quite a bit. Defined in terms of millibuckets per second, the irrigation loop progress will pause when there's insufficient water. Sprinkler water usage. So 10 millibuckets per second. Yeah, that should be right, about right. We don't want to turn it up too high because then it'll pause all the time. Set to true to enable logging in the core channel. Set to true to disable the seed storage systems. No, we don't want to. We want to keep the seed storage systems, and the same with the warehouses. Enable clippers. Yes, we want to keep those. So we can close this now. Yes, we want to save it, and so it'll go back over here. You don't have to worry about opening it up again over here. So AgriCraft is pretty much done unless we go do some JSON stuff, which again I don't know how to do that. Custom Excel. That's just recipes. We'll close that one too. Yes, I want to save that. Aroma Core. We skipped a couple over here. We don't have Advent of Ascension anymore. We can, yeah, that's Advent of Ascension 3. We don't have that. Isn't that what it is? Wait, make sure one more time. Yes, that is. I put it in, it ran fine, but I don't know if I'm going to leave it in or not. So I'm going to delete this folder for now. Okay. And I got to close that. Let's see here. Name module true. Okay, that's all. I'll have to come back to that one because I'm not aware of that mod very well. Ancient Warfare. Ancient Warfare is pretty cool. It's a fun mod to play with, but it's very, in my opinion, it's very difficult to start. It takes a lot to start it and keep it going. Here's Aroma Core dimensions. The dimension ID is -6. Now that's important because there are mods when we go through this that are going to ask, what dimensions am I allowed to spawn my dungeons in, or am I allowed to spawn this in? We always want to make sure, in my pack, I want to make sure that because you're not in an overworld, you're in a skyblock world, that dimension ID -6 is the one where everything spawns in. Because when you go to the mining dimension, I want it to be difficult. And when we go there, we're going to, or when we go through this config, we're going to make it more difficult to go to the mining dimension, just because, and same thing with the, if I can find the cavern IDs as well, I'll have stuff spawn the cavern IDs as well. So you want to keep notes of that. You want to keep notes of your dimension IDs, and you can find them usually throughout the config. Sometimes they'll say, I don't know if Cavern does. Let's see if Cavern says what dimension. Generation, logstone. It doesn't look like it tells us what the idea is. These are all the biomes. Ocean, plains, savanna. No, it does not. So we'd have to go through and, okay, here's one. Here, that's the biomes. This is the dimension right here. So this one is -52. This is the aqua cavern dimension of caverns. You have to make it using a aqua, what is it called? It's a gem you can pick up from the regular caverns. Anyway, so you want to write down that dimension ID too. So what I'll do is over here in my config, I have another screen you can't see. Sorry. I have 3 monitors. So I have one monitor that has OBS, one monitor that has configs, and the other monitor has my notes for this pack. And so what I'll do here is I'll make another note to myself and say, well, first of all, I need to put header on it. And I'll put dimension IDs. And again, sorry you can't see this, but I'm trying to talk you through on how I take my notes and everything. I can try and show you, maybe. Here, hold on. I know what I'll do. Turn into to-do list. Oops, nope, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to change the color of it. So we'll do that. All right. Open as a page. And let me unpin real quick. Okay. So this is what I use. You have to forgive the stuff over here. This is all, it's all my, this is Notion. I use Notion because I'm a student and I get it for free. And I use it to make all my notes. So this is alpha 1.00. That's what I'm calling it. Okay. There's other stuff back here in the change logs and stuff like that, but this is what I'm using to take notes. So, like what I'll do is I'll put, aqua cavern dimension, if I can spell. What was it? -52. Okay. And then, what was it? The aroma core, aroma mining dimension. So this way, if you want to add anything, and it was -6. So if you want to add anything, you just put it in your notes what the dimension numbers are. And so that way you can go back in and add. The other reason this is good too, if you're making a mod pack, is if you go to that dimension and there's something wrong, you know which dimension to destroy. Because you can actually go into the save files of the world and find the dimension and delete that dimension to start it out, to reload it, so you can make sure that whatever you're looking for is in that dimension. So make sure you do that to keep notes of what you're doing. Let me pin this again. I have it pinned so that it stays in my Chrome when I open it up. I do have the desktop or the iPad version stuff too, but I have it there. So you'll want to go into each of these over here. I don't know how much you can read of this because I don't have it full screen, so I can't see if it's very visible, but each of these says dimension. So there's the caveland dimension. I go there, that's -53. The Cavenia dimension is -54. The cavern dimension is -50. The huge dimension is -51, and I could go in and I could put in other mods. So let's see here. Let's go to, just so I can show you, the dungeons maybe. Does it ask me which dimensions is okay? Okay, here. These dimensions either lack dungeons or only have them, only spawn list in dimensions. So what I can do is put another line and put -6. Whoops. And so in this dimension now, whatever dungeon that mod this is, it'll start spawning those dungeons in that dimension. So if you're on a skyblock and you want certain ones, and see, what I could do is say, okay, you need to go get this from, because I know for a fact this item will spawn in this dungeon. I can say you need to go get this item and it's available only in this dimension. So a 0 is usually the main dim, if I'm not mistaken. -1 is usually the nether. So this also spawns in the nether. So I could actually take this one out and it would spawn in the nether at all. And of course, it's not going to spawn in the overworld because there is no overworld most of the time. Some of the mods do spawn them anyway, even if there's no overworld. So same thing with Tinkers. And I don't know if I can find this quickly because we're just about out of time. Well, we are out of time, but okay, Treasure 2 is another good one. If the config will allow me to, I'll make the treasure so they spawn in the mining dimension and the caverns. Let's see, chest, surface chest, common chest. Biomes, allowed biomes for generation. So there's that, disallowed biomes for generation, allowed biome types. Biomes again, those are biomes. So this one's not showing dimensions. Submerged chest. And we see like submerged chests, that would be great in the aqua dimension. But let me see if I can find, will it allow me to change in here? Yeah, see, so the submerged ones go in the ocean. There's the wells. And see, we're going to need wells. I mean, you don't need them, but I want them to be in the pack. So if I can change the generation, world generation, maybe it's in here. Dimension whitelist, here you go. So I can take this out and put -6. That's the mining dimension. So now everything in this mod will spawn in the mining dimension. At least it should, because that's what I'm telling it to do. So I can go in here and I can put -50, because that's the actual cavern dimension. That's the first cavern dimension. Now again, once you guys get this, it'll automatically spawn in those dimensions for you. Now for me, I have to go destroy those dimensions because I've already generated the dimension in order for these to work. Now, sometimes you can go, if you go like 1,000 blocks out from where you started, it'll actually spawn the new stuff. But if it's not the main world and it's not where I built my base, I'll just go destroy it. Like if there's an update to another mod pack that I'm playing and it's something that does generation and I know for a fact it'll be in the other worlds. If I haven't built, I'll go destroy it. I'll go destroy the other world. And that way the stuff will be close to where I spawn in at and I won't have to go 1,000 or 2,000 blocks away just to find the new stuff. So, and then I can leave all these open as I'm doing this, and that way, like the vampirism mod, I put that in here. Okay, so let's see if it has a dim as well. GUI village settings. Now these automatically spawn, I think. Okay, world list of dimension IDs tries to execute world gen besides dim 0. So I'll go here and go to -6. And actually I'll tab over a little bit just so it's easier to read. Doesn't matter if you do that or not. And then -50. So now it'll automatically adjust those. So the main cavern world and the mining dimension should have all this stuff. Should have all these villages that have all the vampires and stuff like that. And it should have that vampire, oh, what is it called? The, oh, it's the biome, the special biome that you have to go find stuff in. It should have that now too. So that's how you want to do that. Same thing with Abyssal Craft. There's stuff in the Abyssal Craft that you need. So let's see if you can change the dims in here. Dimensions. There we go. The third dimension, also known as the realm. Yeah, that's... Okay, those are actual the dimensions. But does it have where you can spawn... where you can enable the stuff to go to other dimensions itself when you're first starting? Item blacklist, no. Mod compat. And a lot of times they'll have these, you can actually turn off mod compatibility in some mods. So like this one has hardcore darkness. You can actually turn it off for the Abyssal Wasteland, for the Dark Realm, for the Dreadlands and that. So if I think this one does have hardcore darkness in it. And if it doesn't, I'm pretty sure it does, but if it doesn't, I would have put it in because I actually like hardcore darkness. It makes it really, really dark. But you can actually turn that off. So when you go to the Abyssal Wasteland, it's going to be pitch black if I were to put this to false. So that's something for you to think about too. How hard do you want to make this, or how easy sometimes too? Because sometimes it makes stuff easier. Silly settings. Antimatter explosion. Of course you want that. No. Spells. World gen. Here we go. Correct. Or generation. The first parameter is a vein count. No, okay, that's that. I was gonna say that didn't look like the dim stuff. Okay, dimension IDs added to the list won't have any Abyssal Craft overworld structures. Generating, okay, will not. This only affects surface worlds. Dimensions that handle world generation like overworld does. Okay, that's a blacklist. We don't want the blacklist. We want a whitelist. Toggles whether or not the dimensions will have their terrain affected by amplified world. Okay. So we may not be able to change this one. And this won't have any abyssal. Okay, that. So like if we wanted, okay, the things that these blacklists are good for. If you wanted stuff to only spawn in the nether, let's say. So you only wanted Abyssal Crafts ores to spawn in the nether. You would put every other dimension that you had in here except for the nether. And then they would only spawn in the nether. So there's packs like that out there that I know of. They'll sit there and say, okay, I only want you to be able to get this ore from the nether. And you have to go to the nether for it. And then they make the nether really hard. So, but anyway, this is kind of what you have to do to get, I'm going to have to find out about this mod if I can make it so that it spawns like in the mining dimension. The mining dimension's hard, but we also have caverns. We also have other worlds. If I can get some of this stuff to spawn in other worlds, that would be great, because then I could have you go to those worlds to find the things like the hunting dimension. The hunting dimension's in here. I need to go find out what ID that is. If I can get the Abyssal Craft stuff to spawn in the hunting dimension, that would be totally awesome. Like that would be amazing. And so I want to find out if that's possible. Again, I don't know if it is. But this is just some look at what you can do with configs. I mean, you can really change configs to make things work the way you want, which makes it amazing. So that's going to be it for now. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll be back one more time with the configs, and then we'll be back into actually being in game and testing things out. I'm going to work on configs on my off time before not the next episode, but the one after that. And we'll go back and we'll test some of the stuff and things like that. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'm out of here. As always, love you all. Game on and geek out.